In ancient times, the young warriors of the Colville, Coeur d'Alene, and Nez Perce tribes met the ultimate test of bravery in dangerous and life-threatening mountain racing. The traditional path to victory included a steep descent and a river crossing. Today, Omak, Washington offers the perfect sandy hill and the unpredictable Okanagan River as obstacles and has become world famous for the race now known as the Omak Suicide Race. The Omak Stampede now sponsors the race. Cactus Jack Miller tells of the rich heritage of the race.
Our suicide race is a continuation of a traditional Native American race that was run over in the little Indian town of Keller, also on the Colville Reservation, about 40 miles from here. And the only reason that race was discontinued was because they built Grand Coulee Dam in 1934 and it flooded the river and buried the town underneath the water. So our old rodeo founders brought that old race over here, and all the Indians that participated in that race are now participating, and only now their sons and grandsons of that particular race. There's actually at least 4 other races that they go to every spring and summer before they come to our race.
The Stampede Committee works closely with the tribal elders.
It started in Keller, Washington, way back in 1925 or maybe sooner. I was just young, growing up. They had salmon days, and they had a steep hill like that. They ran off of that into Little Keller community stores, and that's where I think this was. That's when this originated, I think.
It is said that an Indian feels no pain. Well, of course he feels pain. But with a warrior's silent courage, he must keep it to himself. From this historic footage of a race in the 1950s, we can see some changes. Rules now require that riders wear life jackets and that their horses be at least 5 years old. Horses must prove they have the ability to swim well before being entered. The victory goes to the first horse with a rider on board to enter the nearby arena of the Omak Rodeo.
Another part of the tradition of the race is in the early 30s, when the Indians would come over here to pick apples in all the local orchards. They would meet and set up an Indian village here in the fall, usually in September, late September, and they would help with the apple harvest and the wheat harvest and helped in a lot of the logging and the cattle roundups too. And they would meet here and they would have horse races and they'd camp along the Okanagan River and they'd set up, in those days they tell me there weren't quite as many teepees set up as there is at our Indian celebration right now, but they'd set up 50 or 60 teepees and they'd do horse racing and they'd play their traditional Indian stick game and other fun traditional Indian games.
But the most daring Indian challenge is the suicide race. Enshrined as a legend, the winner of the most races through the years is this man, Alex Dick. Preparations begin long before August, the month of the Omak Stampede.
This race is actually just to prove that you're a man, and if you can't handle it, you shouldn't be on the hill. And if you're scared, you better be pulling back, because the boys that are up there, there's about 10 of us that are flat going out for it.
Qualification trials narrow the field to 20 riders. Although prize money is high, it's not the main reason these 20 warriors accept the challenge. It's for glory. It's for honor. It's no holds barred, as you can see from this footage of suicide races from years past.
When I raced my second race, I got in a really bad wreck. A horse flipped over in front of me, and my horse went down, and then I went over the head, and then about 4 horses ran over the top of me, and then they skidded up on my side of my head and put me in a hospital. But I was right back the next year, wanting to win that race. When I'm up on top of the hill, them boys are all looking at me. They're always watching me because I tend to jump the gun a little bit, you know, but when we're on the line, there's no more rules. It's a free-for-all.
The ideal horse for this demanding feat must have both speed and strength, and more than anything, he must have heart. That elusive quality that enables a horse, or a person for that matter, to rise above his abilities and to do even better than his best. The Okanagan River drains a portion of the eastern side of the Cascade Range. Governed by recent rainfall in the nearby mountains, the river level can either be high or low. High water requires the horses to swim and favors the horses that swim well. Low water makes for a faster race and favors other horses with speed. Coming out of the river on the straightaway to the finish line, bumping, crowding out the other horses, it's all fair.
Now I'm shaking like a... When we line up, it all goes. You know, like right now, I'm probably, I'm pretty scared, but when we get on that line, it all changes, Nobody's my friend here, nobody's my brother, nobody's nothing.
There are 4 races each year, 2 daytime races and 2 races after dark. Volunteers are assigned to count the horses without riders as they emerge from the Okanagan, so that in the darkness, every rider can be accounted for. In a recent suicide race, the first to cross the finish line was a horse without a rider. He couldn't win without his jockey, but he showed that horses in this race want to win as much as their masters. Ancestry of these fine horses can be traced to the horses of the legendary chief of the Nez Perce, Chief Joseph. Even with excellent bloodlines, the horse must be grained and well exercised to perform in this demanding competition. A young man might wonder if Chief Joseph would be proud if he could watch a modern race. Indeed, the competition level increases each year. Surely, this is what Chief Joseph would expect. Many entrants have spent their lives on horseback. Ranching is a way of life, and any rancher takes pride in his horses. Spirits of brave horsemen, gone for many autumns, come back to touch the hearts of these warriors. Meet Les Moses. He was the one to beat a few years back, but now he's been a couple of years without a win. Listen to him back then, when he was king of the hill.
If there's anybody out there that wants to race me off a hill, come and see me.
Les Moses and his feats of bravery inspire impressionable youngsters in reveries of daring, mounted on kid ponies. Each little hill becomes their suicide hill. Each placid pond becomes the raging Okanagan. Other kids might dream of being Joe Montana or even Michael Jordan. But when these boys play, they might be Suicide Racer, Kerry Carden, or Les Moses. The hills of Okanagan County, just below the Canadian border, offer plenty of open space. The only traffic light in the whole county is in Omak, a town of 4,000 folks. It's a town that produces forest products and apples, but Omak's not famous for apples. Due to the work of 24 volunteer directors and many assistants from the community, Omak has become known worldwide as the site of the Omak Suicide Race. And you can count on it, this year on Suicide Hill, you'll meet Les Moses.
I'm trying to get my title back this year, and it's a pretty tough competition.
The first race is Friday night, the second Friday in August. In the dim light of flares, one of the worst pileups in race history occurs at the bottom of Suicide Hill.
I got hit from behind 3 times. My other horse, I broke with the front with Gabe, and then I just got hit from behind. Just set my horse down on his butt end and then get hit again and get back up and get hit again. It's right in front of the wreck.
Of the 7 guys in the pileup, 2 must receive emergency first aid. 1 will be patched up and stitched up to return tomorrow with stoic pride. The other would if he could, but his injuries are massive, and a substitute jockey must be found.
Depend on your horse as much as you do yourself, and have a lot of confidence. Train for it, train well, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't think my horse could do it. Gotta go for it today if I want to be in the money for that saddle.
Why did they call you King of the Hill?
I was once King of the Hill. I was 3 years in a row. I won it through 87, 88, and 89. And last year it was the deep water, and my horse didn't have it in that deep water, but the shallow water, he's pretty tough. And this year it's the first one that hits the bottom of that hill. Whoever hits the bottom first is going to be there in the front, and they're hard to pass in that water this year because it's so shallow. It's nice and shallow this year.
This is be the 5th time for me and him.
This is his first time too, I think. Rookie. This is his first day. We're gonna break him in right.
Watch that last night?
Hey, just watch out, man. Don't let it scare you. They do pile up.
Oh, excited about it. I'm excited about the way he ran last night. He's real healthy and real chipper this morning and such, so ready to take her over again.
It's now Saturday afternoon, a new day with new anticipation. 2 races today. Last night, Aaron Carden, riding the well-known Seymour, was first to finish. Former King of the Hill Les Moses was 3rd. Today, Stretch Best is the first over the crest of the hill. The pileup is bad, but not as bad as last night. Watch Les Moses and Ace gain ground as they move up on the left side of the pack. Les Moses on Ace moved from behind and were first to enter the arena and first to the finish line. As the unfortunate few bring up the rear, paramedics have already assessed the damages. The Carden family is well known in suicide racing. 3 brothers and a nephew are entered this year. Last night, one of them won the race. Today, one of them is on the list of casualties. The injured men will be ferried by boat to waiting ambulances. No chances will be taken. The medical care is the best. There is some relief on the part of medical technicians. It's not as bad as last night. The injured men will live to race again. 1 horse remains to cross the river with rider back in the saddle. Last night and today, 4 men have been hospitalized, but not one horse has been injured. That's typical. For years, this race will live in the memory of the racers. Every lunge of the horse, every strategic move will play over and over again in their mind. Was it luck or skill? No matter. That's the way it was. Stretch Best led the charge. Les Moses was just ahead of the wreck. Only 4 horses really had a chance because the pilot behind them cut off the others.
Oh, it was Stretch Best. He was leading the pack, and he was running pretty hard. He's got a tough horse, and he beat me to the water, but when we hit the water, we hit side by side. My horse jumped out there right next to him, and then it was toe-to-toe race across the river. And then when we got up towards the deck, my horse started pulling away. Then I thought I had him going, you know, and then I was whipping along, and then all of a sudden he come up right beside me in the arena, and it was toe-to-toe, it was neck-and-neck race, and I just beat him by about a head. So it was a good race.
Well, my horse, he went all the way under the water when I hit the river, and that's how they passed me. If he would have stayed up above it, he'd have probably run away from him, I think. 'Cause he caught him again, you know, after both them horses passed him. I don't know. That's all it is, a break on the top. If I can get a good clean break, usually there, you know.
Tonight, tomorrow, you got 2 more chances at it, huh?
Yeah.
How you feeling about it? Does it look pretty good to you?
Not too bad if I can keep my horse calm on the line and stuff and keep him pointed in the right direction. We should be there a time or 2 again, I hope.
Except today I got 3rd.
Do you have any idea what you could have done different today that might have made a difference?
No, not really. Just tried harder. I couldn't try no harder. That's about it.
Tell us about the horse you're riding.
Bud, he's my partner's horse, Hot Dogs. He got hurt last night, so I got to get on him. There he is right there, there's the horse.
You know, on the racetracks where you got a lot of millionaires owning these horses, and the thoroughbred industry's got a lot of money behind it, they cripple half of them horses as 2-year-olds, and they never do get to run as 3-year-olds, you know. And sure, we do hurt the odd horse in this race. We've never hurt one ourselves, but there, you know, there's unforeseen things happen. We could hurt one too, but nobody wants to, but it's just the way it is. But you know, when you got enough money, all these people in the cities, they go and bet on these horses, and perhaps when they do hurt a horse, they handle it a little better than they do here, you know, like they're not dragging it out of the water in front of a bunch of people. They sneak it off the back stretch, and a vet puts it down, and that's the end of it. You never hear nothing else about it. But people that are raised in the cities, they tend to get so far away from dying, you know. Grandma don't die in the back bedroom no more, you know, and they just can't face a little bit of reality in their lives, you know. They've gotten away from it. And when you live in the country, you see it every day, and it just, you know, we're all going to go. We're not going to live forever either. And you don't know whether a horse is going to fall on you, or you might just die old age if you're lucky, you know. So it's kind of the way it is. And how many horses do we eat every year? You know, you can take that into consideration. There's millions of them slaughtered for food.
Yeah.
And that ain't probably nice for that old pack horse to be walking down that old aisle, watching the one that's a couple ahead of him getting the axe, you know. You know, it's just life. And more people should be aware that this happens.
We think that our record of safety is far better than any flat racetrack or any other racing event that involves horses that we're aware of.
Yeah, but they can't stay on him. I'm the only one that can stay on him.
I think it's awful interesting in the first race Friday night. one of the things they say is the fact that we force these horses down off the cliff. We force them. They call it a cliff or a precipice. Well, it's a steep sandy hillside, but it's not a cliff or a precipice. And our answer to that is anyone who saw the race Friday night noticed that the first horse across the finish line didn't have a rider on it. Cougar Bart was the name of the horse, a beautiful little gray horse, and that horse is running the race three years now. He's about 10 years old, and his rider fell off coming down the hill, and all on his own, he led the rest of the horses across the water, up the dike, and he was the first horse under the finish line. So it really doesn't sound like he was being really forced and pushed into racing that race.
How come they can't stay on him?
Because it goes too fast.
8. He's owned by Sandy Smith and Randy Taylor. He'll be ridden tonight by Les Moses. Horse number 1 is 8. Horse number 2 is called Two Gun. Ralph Moses is going to ride 2 dogs tonight. Ralph just informed me. Then the number 3 horse is Seymour. He's ridden by Aaron Carden. Last year is Cougar Bart. He'll be ridden by Kevin Carden.
It means a lot to me because I'm doing it for my dad. My dad just passed away last winter, and he was really dedicated to this race. He did it for 33 years, and I hope I win it for him this year. I'm doing it all for him.
Saturday night's race was almost casualty-free. Almost. One man will go to the hospital, and this time, it's not as serious.
Ace, this year will be his 8th year running, and he's 13 years old now. No, this will be his 7th year running, and but he's 13 years old now, and that's my lucky number. But he's a good old horse. For Old Canner, they called him there for a while. They was cutting him down and calling him workhorse and everything else when I first got on him. But he's got a pretty bad cut on his back leg, and they healed him up. I had some friends that I know, they healed him up really good and brought him out, and now he's worth probably about $5,000. It's hard to beat.
The team of Ace and Les Moses led all the way. Another victory dedicated to Les's dad. About Ace, let's have Kenny Smith, who himself rode in many suicide races, tell us how close Ace came to a different fate in the glue factory.
That's about when I got Ace. First time I saw Ace was at a junior rodeo with the kids over at Nest Pelham, and I seen him tied up to the back of this pickup and knew the kid that owned him, and I thought, well, I could probably end up doing some trading, but anyhow, I went over and I offered him $800 for this horse, and no, he wasn't gonna sell him. He was gonna try him for that suicide race, and so anyhow, I wouldn't take my $800. So probably about 2 or 3 weeks later, he stuck him in this real tight horse trailer, and I guess it's from putting him in the bucking chutes where he'd get to kick, and he got to kicking in this trailer, and he tore his hind leg up on the back side there real bad, and somehow somebody got word to me the next morning, and I don't remember how I heard about it, but this was on a Friday night. He sold him, and Saturday morning I heard about it. So I called the canner buyer, and I asked him if he remembered this horse. I said he'd been cut on the hind leg, and he said, yeah. And he said he sold for about $67.
Kenny got him. His leg was about that big all the way to there. And it's really kind of amazing. I mean, it was just totaled. It's really kind of amazing that everything, it ended up a little bit bigger than the other one, but No tendons were damaged, no ligaments. He's not lame in it.
I told him, I said, well, I want 5.5 for him because I said, it's too close to race time. I'll just go ahead and run him and see what we can do with him without much training. And he didn't know. Well, there was another guy here I was shoeing a horse for. He just hauled it in. And he was starting to talk about how good he liked the horse, and this other kid started worrying, and so he says, well, I'll buy him. So he bought him and run him, and if it wasn't for that race, he's probably a horse that would definitely be in the canter pen if it wasn't for that. And I know that kid had him 3 years, and he's selling and everything that he took in on the horse. He made $15,000 in 3 years on that $500 horse he bought.
I think I'm his 8th owner, and I will be his last owner. I'll never sell him. I may give him to somebody, but I won't sell him. He's already earned permanent retirement when his time comes.
I had him in a pen out here, and we had this gate open out of the pen. We had a 50-gallon barrel sitting there full of baling wire, and the wire was sticking up about that high out of that barrel, and he went to run out the gate, and he didn't know the barrel was there, and all at once it was right in his face, and he had to collect to jump that barrel, and he jumped there and was talking. He never even ticked the wire. And that's usually kind of what you look for in a horse. It's got a lot of quick response and jump to it when you're looking for one for that. Because in all reality, a deal like him kind of shows people that some of this stuff does save a horse's life. You know, Ace would be in the canter pen right today if it wasn't for what he's doing.
The feathers are from Eagle. We're eagle feathers, and we're going to be flying.
And now let's get some sound advice from the champion of years gone by, the legendary Alex Dick.
Not when you train your horse right. You don't have to force it. I've seen some boys here a few years back, and they're still doing it. They go out there on the starting line, and they come deep hell and pull their horses here.
Uh-huh.
And they, in a regular race, them horses, they take a break. They pull the back, and they think you're going to stop. And they can rest the horses hit him, and the rider gets spilled or something, get hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a few times. They go over there and they gallop here, and they're just breaking over, they'd pull them. And that's no fair.
Yeah, that's not a good way to train the horse, is it?
No.
Yeah.
And now one more race. Will it be Seymour or Ace? Or will Cougar Bart be the spoiler? The gray horse can be fast. War hoops from the top of the hill are met by screams from the thousands of spectators at the bottom of the hill. They've come from all over the world to see the race featured in the Disney movie, Run Appaloosa Run. Spirits are high. Pull out the stop, boys. Today, we go for broke. It's the last race. Kerry Carden on Wartaw led the pack down the hill and across the river. Ace ran strong, threatening to move ahead of Wartaw, but was squeezed off, starting up the ramp. While Wartaw held off Ace, another cart, Hot Dog Cart, took the lead on Bud. DJ followed Bud with Gary Bowling on board. Wartaw was third. With 2 first-place finishes and a third, Ace and Les Moses are proclaimed the overall winners of the 4-race series. If the glory's not enough, there's a pile of cash, a saddle, and a hug from Mom. The owners of Ace will add a buckle to their collection. To his dad, Les Moses says, this year the win's for you. How about it? I'm king of the hill again.